Guys, good morning. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, Prof. My presentation, the topic is South Africa and Africa's new regionalism. And welcome. I just want to define, because regions, there's the regions, the regionalism as an idea, then there's a... Okay, so I define regions first, as defined as an area, especially part of the country or the world, having definable characteristics, but not always fixed boundaries. Okay? And also can be political regions tend to be based on political units, such as sovereign states, subnational units such as provinces, counties, and townships and territories. Next, regionalization. Regionalization is the tendency to form decentralized regions. It is the process of dividing a political entity or a country into a small jurisdiction. Just quickly. Now, regionalism, as Joseph here defined an international regionalism as a limited number of states linked by a degree of mutual interdependence. It is also a formation of interstate or groupings of states. Regionalism is the expression of a common identity and purpose of states. Then comes the other guy here, who defines regionalism as a societal integration within the region of the states involved. Regionalism are the efforts by a group of nations to enhance their economic, political, social, cultural interaction. Yeah. Then this new African regionalism and recent fanfare or display surrounding the transformation of the organization of African unity into African Union. That's one of the attributes of new regionalism that we have noticed. And there, we also got intervening African military forces in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And it is also to enhance the economic, political, social, cultural interaction, human security, peace building, and development. Because, you know, way back we had African Union was focusing more on mobilizing the resources so that we would be able to seek the independence or sovereignty of the countries. New African regionalism is through common interest, political, as I mentioned earlier, social, economic, security, and conflict management, and that is what is happening because of the conflict that is taking place. It's no longer now fighting our colonizers. For example, in conflict management, the regional ECOWAS, which has acted on Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea-Bissau, and Congo. And continuing there, you know, this person also states that Africa's newly established institutions such as the AU as well as NEPID in recent years is the sign of a new trend of regionalism. And that's what Hadley Amf-Sebek-Bom states in 1998, you know, the book of page 7, that I'm going to say again, this new Africa's new regionalism is the established institutions of AU as well as NEPID in recent years is the sign of a new trend of regionalism. So new regionalism is the transformation of regionalism from old to a new order, such as the end of Cold War in responses to global pressure for open market, important role of China, NATO power, powerful regional blocs such as EU. So this is regionalism is almost like a response to the new regionalism is the response to these global things that are taking place. So new regionalism in Africa continues. New Partnership for Africa's Development as NEPID, adopted in 2001 in African Union, which included African Peer Review Mechanism, APRM. Above helps the African Union regional members to accommodate themselves in a globalized world order. So that's exactly what is happening. So South Africa and achievement in a new African regionalism in this setting to the topic. South African peacekeeping in DRC, Central African Republic, and efforts of AU, which were the efforts of AU. So South Africa took part, you know, in peace efforts and trying to keep peace and security in these states, DRC and Central Republic, and these were also part of the efforts of AU. And South Sudan Comprehensive Peace Agreement, also that South Africa was championing through the leadership of South Africa, and South African pioneering of NEPID, and South Africa's in Lesotho, as you've seen even recently or in the past, where South Africa went to Lesotho to go and keep peace, and also did the same thing recently as part of the regional SA DC, which is South African, Southern Africa. And also global political agreement in Zimbabwe that you had in the Shanghai, I think it was 2008, if I'm not mistaken. And there was also Madagascar peace resolution that that took place there. South Africa took part there. Also, as you know, that the leader, the president, also had to came all the way, ran away from Madagascar, and it came all the way to South Africa. And then also that is what we have noticed, that South Africa is playing a role, because on this topic of South African and new regionalism in Africa, is South Africa playing a role in this regional, in African Union, playing a role in SADC. And that's why I've mentioned those achievements, some of the achievements. It's a lot. Then I've mentioned it there, the South African, foreign policy on SADC. The reason why I've mentioned this is because I couldn't just, present this without mentioning what the South African foreign policy is talking about towards on SADC. A democratic South African will be an integral part, and that's what it says there. Process. Okay, let me skip that. The construction, I'm going to go to the next one. The construction of a new regional order. That's what it says there in South African foreign policy on SADC. It says that the construction of a new regional order, listen to that, will be a collective endeavor of all the free people of Southern Africa, and it cannot be imposed either by extra-regional forces or any self-appointed regional power, as you can see there. And it's indicated, new regional order, okay? Then also the other thing, the other point there is militaristic approaches to inter-regional security, and cooperation should have no place in a reconstruction of Southern Africa regional relations. These should be rooted in a peace-based, development-oriented approach to regional cooperation. And earlier on, I mentioned that this new African regional, order, you can call it. I said that it's about the security, it's about the peace, it's about the development, and in South African, foreign policy, it has been mentioned, that it has to be done, and we have to keep peace and security, and that is very important. And a democratic South Africa should therefore explicitly renounce all hegemonic ambitions in the region. That says it should resist all pressure to become the regional power at the expense of the rest of the subcontinent, and instead it should seek to become part of movements to create a new form of economic interaction in Southern Africa based on principles of mutual benefit and interdependence. You can see South Africa as they mentioned here, they want to play a role, and they have played a role as towards the regional of SADC. Now we have also SADC, SADC as a regional body of Africa and AU. Okay. Objectives of SADC in 1980, that is the old order, was a political struggle and a collective self-reliance in mobilizing resources. And the new objectives of SADC, which was on another conference in 1992, was about economic integration and peace and not security. It's security. Okay. All right. As you can see there, that let me go back. The old order. Why I have brought these things into this presentation is because I wanted to show the comparison between the old order that we had of SADC's conference there of 1980, that mostly was about political struggle, and it was about collective self-reliance and to mobilize the resources, And now on the new order is the objectives of SADC. Our conference of 1992 is about economic integration, peace and security, and that's exactly what South African foreign policy is, preaching about, and that's the role that South African government or state is trying to play. And we have challenges especially in SADC, because of the regional cooperation schemes. You can call them also a little bit of overlap or something like that. Because you have some, like for example in SACU, you have countries, and there have countries there, but you don't have all the countries that are in SADC. And also in COMESA, you have countries that are in SADC, and you have certain countries that are in the East, as well as this. So this is, I look at it as a challenge that there's this kind of overlapping or regional cooperation schemes, that always subdues or the SADC itself as a regional institute function. And South African policy on Africa and challenges, the ending of apartheid was, that's what it says here, I'm reading exactly the way it is. The ending of apartheid was a joyous moment in the history of our continent. Africa sacrificed much during the course of our struggle. Our people, refugees and the liberation movements were offered food, shelter and facilities to enhance the common endeavor to put an end to racist tyranny and oppression. Now, the concentration of the global economy into trading blocs has underscored protectionism not in Africa, but in the North. It says there in the South African foreign policy. Depressed international commodity prices have enriched not Africa, but the North. The shift in the international investment patterns have encouraged business not in Africa, again, but not in Africa. Mounting debt has benefited institutions not in Africa, but in the North. And this is how this topic of South Africa in the new regionalism of Africa becomes so interesting, that South Africa's efforts and the role that it wants to play, to make sure that we transform whatever institutions that we have. Now, these are some of the principles of which I have which I have put them here, all of them here. The principle of South African foreign policy. This is very important. If I have to talk about regionalism or new regionalism in Africa, it's very important that I had to read this. I have to read these things to you guys. The events of the past few years have profoundly affected the international community. Very important. We believe, however, that the changes which have occurred have enabled us to enunciate 7 principles which will guide our foreign policy. This is a guide, of how South Africa has to play a role in Africa, or in the African Union, or in SADC. A belief in preoccupation with human rights, which extends beyond the political, embracing the economic, social, and environmental. A belief that just and lasting solutions to the problem of humankind can only come through the promotion of democracy worldwide. A belief that international peace is the goal to which all nations should strive. Where this breaks down internationally, agreed peaceful mechanisms to solve conflicts should be resorted to. A belief that our foreign policy should reflect the interests of the continent of Africa. A belief that South Africa's economic development depends on growing regional. Listen, I'm going to read this once again. A belief that South Africa's economic development depends on growing regional, and international economic cooperation in an independent world. A belief that our foreign relations must mirror our deep commitment to the consolidation of the democratic of South Africa. This is the roles. Now, these are the objectives of the AU. To achieve greater unity and solidarity between the African countries and Africans, to defend the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence of its members, to accelerate the political and socio-economic integration of the continent, because these are the objectives that AU has now. To promote and defend African common positions on issues of interest to the continent and its people. To encourage international cooperation, taking the due account of the Charter of the United Nations and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. To promote peace, security, and stability on the continent. To promote democratic principles and institutions, popular participation in good governance. You can see the list, it's a lot. Now there's a theory, I think I don't need to, that's just a lot there. The regional, I mentioned about the regional integration as a harmonization of rules of the states. These regional, the new regional of Africa, it's happening because there's always, harmonizing the rules of within the SADC and within the AU to harmonize that so that we have security and peace in Africa. And because of the new world order of the post-Cold War era was anything but order of a new regionalism. Then also, one of the things that also as one of the new regionalism in Africa is the regional integration agreements that are taking place in every regional body, like SADC, ECOWAS, AU. Those agreements that are taking place every time through the conferences or through what are one of the things that we can say that there's a new regionalism, in Africa, and South Africa playing a role in that. As I said, the international trade environment is shaped by the so-called new regionalism, an increasingly complex phenomenon with the rapid spread of regional integration agreements. And there's also the new regionalism that we see, the trends is the overlapping of memberships that is taking place, this, and also the deep integration efforts and trade blocks signed between developing and industrialized countries, for example, Africa, and it goes on and Greece there. And how the new regionalism is taking place, the closer relationship between globalization and regionalization. New regionalism is related to the current transformations in the world politics in the post